Hey friends, welcome back to the Streamlined Motherhood Podcast and to lucky episode 13. It's hard to believe that it's been almost a year since my last episode, but a lot of life has happened in the last 11 months. So tell me, how have you been? What have you been up to? Send me a DM on Instagram at The Streamlined Life or shoot me an email anytime to hello@thestreamlinedlife.com. I would love to hear an update from you. So now that I'm back up and recording, what can you expect from Streamlined Motherhood? I have spent the last year life coaching, teaching, and researching all of the ways to improve family life, create lasting personal change and habit shifts, and also how to use your brain to create the life that you want for you and your family. This show is going to be weekly going forward, and my goal is to hit 53 new episodes in 2020. Are you ready for this? I am so excited to share these new episodes with you, and I really appreciate you being with me on this journey. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in, but first, this is the Streamlined Motherhood Podcast. I'm Kate Saffle, certified simplicity parenting family life coach and mom of 3. I'm here to guide you back to your intuition, to help you overcome daily overwhelm, and to start feeling confident in the mama and woman you are. Each episode, I'll share tips and encouragement for thriving on your motherhood journey, because this life you're living is way too important to put on autopilot. So what does it look like to be fully thriving as a family? Where everyone's needs are being met, where the home functions according to your values, and life is moving forward in the best possible way. Of course, no life or home is perfect, so we can't expect that, but we can stack the deck of cards in our favor. We can smooth the path for our family by taking intentional action daily. We don't live these straight and narrow lives anymore where everything fits in these neat little boxes of family life here and work over there and dreams and goals in another. The key to it all is to create a cadence to our days and weeks that allow for our needs to be met alongside our families. Your needs matter. They matter so much that if your needs aren't being met, you'll find it hard to keep up with all the demands and expectations that come from others. If you're listening and you're feeling doubtful that you can ever meet your own needs in addition to others, make sure to subscribe to this podcast because I'm going to be showing you how. So in this episode, we're going to cover how to know if your family is currently struggling and needs a reboot, how to use the power of your thoughts and your values to shift your family's path, ways to assess everyone's needs, and how to set goals that help your family thrive in 2020 and beyond. My goal is for more families to shift off of autopilot and to navigate to their own unique version of doing life together, free of the expectations of others. Are you ready to join me? But before we talk about how to thrive as a family, let's talk about what isn't considered thriving. If you feel like you've been in autopilot for all of 2019 or maybe even longer, it may look something like this. It might feel like a struggle to get through the days and keep up with the maintenance of life. There might be a lot of disconnecting and distracting, such as an overfocus on food, drink, TV binging, or too much screen time. Family conversations may be strained or tense, and the children's behavior is all over the place. Several, or maybe even all members of the family aren't sleeping well. Home may feel both physically and emotionally disorganized. You personally may feel angry, frustrated, lack patience, or just feel apathetic. Any or all of these are possible. Often when someone is feeling those emotions regularly and is also indulging in devices or substances to feel better, it's because the underlying thought motivating that action is, what does it matter anyway? Or, I am so overwhelmed. I'm so tired. Or even, why bother? If you notice with all of those thoughts, it is a way to take the pressure off of you and create distance from the problem. We can overuse certain thoughts, such as I'm so busy, just as much as we can overuse alcohol. Let that sink in a moment. We can overuse certain thoughts that are not serving us and not helping our families. Our brains love repetitive thoughts and will create a neural pathway for a common thought and behavioral pattern. So in other words, do not let your brain get stuck thinking any thoughts that are unhelpful to the life you actually want to live. So the first thing I would recommend is that you simply start observing your thoughts and the quality of them. Are your thoughts mostly positive or negative? Do you struggle to remain optimistic and see possibility in your life and in the life of others? What thoughts are the ones holding you back from the life you actually want to live? Whenever someone is stuck in a negative mindset, it can impact the entire family. I like to think that families have a collective mindset or way of interacting with each other and with the world. So if you're feeling stuck, mama, your thoughts and moods may very well be impacting your entire family. But don't let this get you down. I'm going to teach you how to break through these thoughts and eventually create new ones. One of my absolute favorite ways to bust through the negativity is to consciously focus on my values, my dreams, and goals. Future thinking, when it's done in a positive way and not simply worrying about, what's coming down the pipeline or if you're projecting future fears. That's a negative way of thinking about the future. When we think about it in a positive way, we can shift our brain out of a negative state. Roughhousing and playing games with our kids is another great way to feel connected again and to feel positive. So is exercise, as well as getting out in nature. Figure out what works best for you to quickly shift your mind and then use it regularly. You may also consider questioning your thoughts and asking yourself, is this thought helping my family thrive or keeping us from living our best life? You get to decide what thoughts stay in your brain and which ones don't. They are optional. So see, when you ask yourself that question about if this thought is helping my family or not, see what answer your brain provides you with, and then shift your thoughts to ones that serve you and your family's needs better. Remember, the first step is to simply become aware of the type of thoughts you're having daily and then decide consciously if they are the ones you want to hold about yourself, your life, and your family. Another way to help your family thrive this year is to emphasize your values. What's most important to you and your family? What beliefs and ideas do you want to be guiding your days and life? If you're unsure, one way to get the ball rolling on brainstorming is to visualize your favorite ways to spend time together. For example, my family and I love being out in nature, so much so that we would rather our house be left messy on a beautiful day if it means hiking to a beautiful waterfall. For us, this played out as being one of the big motivators for why we traveled full-time in an RV around the U.S. in 2018. We valued time together and exploring nature so much that giving up the maintenance and responsibility of a home just made a lot of sense for us. Now that we're back in a city and not traveling, we find it so much harder to make time for one another and to get out in nature. This is a major sense of conflict for us as we're struggling to live our values, and it shows up in our home as frustrated kids and, let's be honest, frustrated adults, feeling overwhelmed by lots of things on our plate, but very few that we actually want to do, and also having this sense in our gut that our lives are not quite on the right path. Have you ever felt this way yourself? Everyone's values are different and unique, and so I encourage you to figure out what you're willing to live without and what is absolutely non-negotiable and must stay in your life, and that's where your values lie. The key here is to draw a line in the sand of what you're willing to spend time on and what you're not. When we know what isn't as important, we can begin saying no to responsibilities and commitments that take us away from our values. For my husband, Kirk, and I, 2020 is the year that we get our lives back on track so that we can fully live out our values. We know that this liminal period that we're in, which is otherwise known as the time between where you were previously and where you want to be, so we know that that period is brief, and we consciously chose moving to a city so that I could grow my business to support our family. And when we traveled before, my husband and I both worked on the road. He had taken part-time contract work in hospitals around the country, and I worked remotely teaching for a university. It was a way for us to live the lifestyle that we desired, but it wasn't ideal because we still spent a lot of time apart. So as I invest more time into my life coaching business and this podcast, I can see how our time here doing city life will make the part-time travel life we desire possible. So we are embracing the liminal space, and we are just full on stepping into our values and our goals and our dreams. So if you too are feeling stuck in the in-between of liminal space, please know that you're not alone. Listen to episode 6 called Thriving in the In-Between for additional encouragement. I also like asking my kids about what they value and what's important to them. On New Year's Eve, we talked about what they would like to do in 2020. My oldest said she'd love to go horseback riding. My middle daughter wants to travel in our travel trailer again, and my 2-year-old really just wants cupcakes. Go figure. But seriously, our kiddos are so wise and are really intuitive. They see what is happening in the family home, and even if they don't have the emotional intelligence or verbal skills to communicate that, they can feel when things are functioning well in the home and when they aren't. Sometimes our children can help us see life from a different perspective and even teach us how to live a good life. My 6-year-old tells me daily that she needs nature and she misses travel. I could totally ignore her and tell myself that she's just a child, or I can actually listen and respect her needs as well. Children will often act out when they feel like they aren't being heard and their needs and values aren't being considered. In Simplicity Parenting, we call this soul fever. It's like a real fever in the body, and how children often manifest these obvious symptoms when they aren't feeling well. Well, with soul fever, a child may seem off. They may misbehave, or they may seem simply overwhelmed by life. Whenever you notice those behaviors and symptoms in your child, ask yourself what may be triggering it. Have you gone through any recent life changes? Is anything missing from your days that gives your child a sense of peace and stability? Approaching family life as a team and collaboratively helps everyone stay connected to each other and aware of needs, and we can often tell when we aren't thriving as a family based on how our children are behaving and communicating to us. The beginning of the year is also a great time to assess needs. Obviously, physical needs such as clothing and toys, quality of food, and that sort of thing, but also emotional and learning needs. As I mentioned earlier, our kids are so good at letting us know when things are off in the home or when their needs aren't being met simply by changes in their behavior. Now, this does not mean if little Sally yells every time you go to Target, it's because her needs aren't being met for a new toy. That's definitely not what I'm suggesting. You as the parent have to discern what your child's true needs are while taking into account their emotional, physical, and mental needs. As you can probably guess, I believe that children need very little material things to be happy. When we were traveling, we had very few toys in our travel trailer and maybe 24 books. My kids truly had everything they needed and they were so happy. And now that we're in a bigger house, I can see so clearly how owning more things has not made them happier. They fight more often over toys, and I can see how the physical clutter is distressing to them. I'll be doing an upcoming episode on decluttering kids' spaces, so stay tuned for that. Also, all of this talk about needs is not just for your kids, but you as well. Are your emotional needs being met? Do you feel heard and understood? Do you have healthy relationships in your life with other people who get you, support you, and hear you? What about your kids or your partner if you have one? How is your relationship with them? We can tell whether or not we're truly thriving based on how we are feeling and doing daily. Let's also talk about intellectual needs. Are you learning and growing as an individual, or do you feel stagnant? What would it take to act on your interests and passions and spark your curiosity and sense of wonder again? Spend some time reflecting on these questions and in what ways you're inspired to make changes. Be honest with yourself about what your needs really are, and if they aren't being met, now is the time to start making changes, one baby step at a time. I'm going to also stick these questions in my show notes, so head to thestreamlinedlife.com/the-podcast for more. The final way to thrive as a family in 2020 is to identify a few goals that are important to you and your family. The best way to do this is to take your values and imagine a few ways you can proactively live out those values daily. With my family, I find it helpful to create a statement that begins with, "We believe," followed by an action step. So for example, my family might say that we believe our earth and the natural world is valuable and precious, and we are committed to living as zero waste as possible. So for my family, we are going to refuse disposable and throwaway products, minimize our purchase of plastic-based products, cut back on water usage by taking quick showers rather than baths, and supporting ourselves and others in living minimally and sustainably. So again, use your values to inform your goals, and this will help you stay on track. I often tell my clients it takes one small step to make massive action happen. What you choose to do today will have a ripple effect throughout this year and your life. When it feels easier to give up, to put on the next episode of The Office, or to avoid hard conversations, please know that you are strong enough to step through the fears, the feelings of inadequacy and disappointment, and create your version of a dream life. When you find yourself distracting, blaming, or avoiding, take a step back and ask yourself again why you're doing those things. Ask yourself how it would feel to fully live out your values daily. Think back to a time you felt really aligned as a family with your goals and values. It felt amazing, right? And if you truthfully can't remember a time that felt really great, practice trying on some different feelings until you land on one that does feel good. Whatever that feeling is, really feel it in your body, identify it, and know it so you can create more of the same feeling. So that the next time you want to throw in the towel, you can remember how good it feels to pursue your dreams as a family and be truly thriving. We have one life to live, and there is no better time than right now to begin taking your first steps toward it. No need for perfection. We're all works in progress. But we do it together and as a family. This is what it means to thrive as a family in 2020, and I wholeheartedly hope that you're inspired today to take that one small step and get the ball rolling on your best year yet. Thank you so much, friends, for listening today. Will you help me get this episode in the hands of friends that would benefit from it? Share it on social media and tag me at The Streamlined Life. Leave a review on iTunes, or just tell your best friend next time you see her about the episode. It all helps, and I'm so appreciative of you being in this community. Until next time, my friend.